Wilson. I've got a card today for you that's a best wishes card for somebody that might be leaving a job, but you could change the sentiment on this to create anything that you want. I'll show you what we're going to be using for today's card. I've got the sentiment from the triple line best wishes. I'm going to actually be using a die from our special occasions range called Happily Ever After, but using the outside edge by itself doesn't make it quite so wedding-ish. You can use it for other things, so it's very versatile. I'm going to pair that with the Melbourne die from the Australian collection, and a couple other items I'll be using from the Petite Scribbled sentiments set called Occasions. The sentiments are from Phil Martin's collection, and the new paper pad called Classic Elegance Collection. This is my paper pad. There are 4 different colors of papers and 6 designs. They're double-sided, and you get 4 pieces of each of the card. It's an 8x8 pad. Okay, so we'll pop those to the side. So first off, what I'm going to do is a little bit of cutting. I'm going to bring in the Happily Ever After die, piece of coconut white card, and this has a couple different sections to it. You have an outer cutting edge with a decorative piece, so I'm going to use them first. Tape them into place, and you just want to center that outer die so it's evenly spaced. Pop a little bit of removable tape on there. Okay, and I'm going to use the inside from the Melbourne die just to add a little bit more detail to it, and it fits nicely in there. So it's nice to have dies that you can mix and match that way. So let's center that in the middle, tape that into place as well, pop that onto our cutting plate, and bring over the top. Quick cut back and forth. Let's check it. Looks like it's cut well. We'll use our tool-in-one, take out some of the bits. Let me just peel that one up. There we go. And undo our tape on this side. And on this side, there we go. Pop that back onto our magnetic sheet. Let me see if I can get a few more of these bits out here. There we go. So I've got one I've done ahead of time, but I'll just try and pop a couple of these out. We've got a little curly cues here, but you can see how pretty that's going to be. I'll show you the couple that have already had the pieces popped out. So it's a nice little extra detail to the center of that die. So let's clean up. And what I'd like to do with that is create a piece where I can use a corner of this later on. So I'm going to bring in my little cutter here. I'm going to put the 2 of them together. Just line them up. The centers may be a little bit different because they've been cut at different times. And I'm just going to take off a corner of these. Pop it right on there, like that. There we go. So I want to take these 2 and tape them back together. A little bit of single-sided tape. That's not going to show, so I'm not worried about it. Pop that right down the middle of there. And we're going to add a piece of sticky mounting foam behind there. And we're going to use this in a little bit. These 2 little guys we are going to tidy up with our scissors. And I'm just going to trim off the extra bit here and right there, around on each of those corners. Okay, and we will use those on our background up in the corner when we get everything finished. So they'll be ready to go. Tidy that right like that. So it makes a nice little corner shape for us. Okay, so I'm going to set those to the side and we're going to work forward. Now, I've already gone ahead and covered a piece of the backing paper with a self-adhesive sticky sheet because I want to microbead that. So I'm going to bring in my microbeads and just peel the backing off. There we go. Oops. Pop that in there. Get that nice and coated. Take that off and just give it a good flick to take off all the extra beads that aren't attached. We'll pop that on with some glue. Put that right onto the back, and you can see that's the actual matching backing piece to that. If you want to use both sides, you have extra pieces you can do that with. Okay. Put that into place, and I'll give you a quick measurement here. It is just under 6 3/4 inches wide, and top to bottom it's 7 inches. And I'll show you what I've done on the bottom of this. Using a piece of the wisteria card, I am cutting the Best Wishes triple line. Now this has been designed so that you have a positive and a negative. I find it's best to use a little bit of wax paper with this. Pop that into place and tape it down. And you want to make sure that that tape goes all the way to the card, otherwise it won't stick. There we go. Run this through. And the reason I use that wax paper is because paper actually will stretch a little bit. So when you pull it out, because there's a lot of detail to this, I don't want to stretch that because I'm going to be using the negative portion of this die for my card. So it just makes it release so much easier that way. There we go. Gently peel that up. Oops, there we go. So you've got all these little bits that you can use for another card. So you have triple lines here. So they're great around frames and just anywhere you want an extra little detail. You can cut them apart, use them individually. So, okay. So now what I've got is the really pretty Best Wishes, and I've just gone and just matted a little bit of white card behind it, just like that, and put it to the bottom of my card so you can see what I've done there. All right, so because I've got that piece where that joins, I thought I'll add a little bit of ribbon there. So I've got a piece of white satin ribbon. So let's just tape the edges to the back, pop that down. And I just think that makes a nice little division point for your card. Let's use the sticky tape. There we go. So you can see that. So we're building up our card from the background. So I'm going to go ahead and put this onto the base piece. I've used some of the mounting foam to raise it for some dimension. I've got the pierced edge that I've done on the white card. I've used a little bit of the wisteria card, same as down here, to bring in that color and tie it all together. I'll show you what the overall size on the card is now that we've added the backing to it. It is 8 inches by 8 1/4. So it's a little bit larger of a card. So now I'm going to go back to these two that I've done earlier, and they're going to create the bottom part of my focal element. Because I've got the micro beads there, we want to add some glue just to make sure it's good and secure onto our mounting foam. Pop that right into the middle of our background. Okay, there we go. And I got a little bit crooked on my ribbon. Let me just straighten that up a tiny bit. That's a little better. Okay, so the next thing I've done is cut one more of those, and instead of using the decorative piece on the Melbourne, I cut a hole using that center middle die, and I've stamped my sentiment in black, and I've mounted it up with a little bit of mounting foam. So I'm going to pop that in with a piece of mounting foam on the back of that. Put that right in the center, so like I said, you wouldn't see that. That's why you're going to cover that. Make it equidistant there. And I want to just decorate that little bit on the top. So I've cut the Melbourne die and just use these pieces here. Cut this little decorative piece, and I've added some mounting foam to the back and some pearls just to dress it up a bit. So we'll peel our backing off. Raise it up for a little bit of dimension. There we go. That'll fit right around our sentiment nicely. And remember those corners that we cut earlier? We're going to bring in our Cosmic Shimmer glue. I'm going to add a little bit of glue here. And because I've got the micro beads, you want to make sure that there's a fair bit of glue on here because you want a nice adhesion to it. So I'm going to pop that around. Get a little bit on the front there. Let me move my fingers. A little bit on the back here. Give that a second. And tiny bit at the top. Okay, pop that into place up in this top corner. Give that a second to set up. And we'll put a little glue on the back while that one's starting to glue. all the way around the little hearts in the corners. And this will dry clear, so if you do get a little bit off the edge of your die cut, then it won't show. Let me just get a tiny bit down here. There we go. Pop that right into place. There, so you haven't wasted any of that die cut at all. And there you have it. Isn't that a pretty card? I think anybody that would be leaving a job or something like that would love to have a card like this. But don't forget, you can make that into a wedding card, anything you want. Change of sentiment would be all it needs. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and please check out our YouTube channel. Creative Expressions has so many more videos on there for us, and you can subscribe and we'll send you emails when new ones are loaded.